What's going on in Paris?
Right, well, let's get in there first of all. I should go on this. There we are. I just felt, Paris. I love Paris, or at least I did anyway. Think about Paris in there, and just that little bit of music there is the traditional French guy playing around, and you see the streets filled with flowers, the old classic cars, and, ambling along, not many people there at all. And I thought to myself, that's Paris then, just in the 1980s. That is like the kind of mid-1980s. And then
within our living memory.
And then this is today. Frenchmen disturbed by Muslims praying on the street. I don't know if that can be played, but, it's just a horrific sound. Maybe you don't want to hear it, but there are 500 mosques now in Paris. And not in addition to that, people are actually sat there in prayer on their hands and knees whilst they're flying the Palestinian flag. And as I say, that was Paris. Then, this is Paris now. And as you saw over the weekend, Paris was in flames. Paris was burning. And all over, I kind of think to myself, is Paris Saint-Germain kicked the living daylights out of Inter Milan in the football championship trophy, the Champions League. Good game for them. Generally I thought the game was okayish, not particularly spectacular. But I kind of thought to myself, when you win a team, when United gets up there, there's something special to celebrate, and just get out there and really give it a full kind of support for them. And Paris does it differently. I've got to admit, this is their method of celebrating Paris Saint-Germain winning. Yes, as you can see, grab the Palestinian flags out, not the Paris Saint-Germain flags.
Just a quick thing, when you can hear the video playing, you can't really hear the person talking. So can we turn the video sound off, please, Samson? Sorry.
Sorry about that. It's kind of like, just look at this. This is Paris Saint-Germain, and being retweeted across there by Lindsay Rosen. It's a flashback of what they do in support of their teams and how they...
Was this over a football match?
This is over a football match, yes.
Oh, right. I thought it was some sort of ethnic conflict. I didn't look into it because I thought, someone will cover on the podcast.
No. It's absolutely true. Paris Saint-Germain goes out there, they do a good game, and as you look at Paris Saint-Germain there, and one with French Macron, I just wonder any of those players also got a slap from his wife. I don't know. But
sorry,
she's probably already eyeing them up, because many of them are younger than the husband when she got him, so around the same age she likes.
I don't follow football, so is this the French team?
Paris Saint-Germain is just like Arsenal or just like Chelsea. It's a club in the middle of Paris. It's got a kind of relatively rich history. It's it's effectively owned and sponsored by Qatar.
Do they not have Frenchmen playing for their team?
Well, all of these are allegedly French people.
Well, I mean,
the ones that they've been brought in from different countries.
I appreciate they're administratively French.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just look at...
No. I mean, you can look at it, and there are obviously some that have been born in France.
Probably the guy on the top left.
Yeah, you've got a
Frenchman.
Yeah, well, actually, I think there's a couple of Poles in there, maybe one German, but there's various Turks and different nationalities over there. Yeah. Many of them do come from the kind of bordellos of Paris, where they have training sessions in there. But it's just really, they're all jubilant.
Okay.
So is Macron. He's congratulating them with a big clap on his hands there, and then of course whilst he's doing that, Paris burns. Radio Jenna has that. He's got this coming out. He gives that great quote again. But this is then what happens afterwards. So, on the streets of Paris, I just grabbed a few together. So, whilst they're clapping...
So, this rioting was in response to a football match.
Yeah.
Again, it's in response to a football victory. And
victory.
In the World Cup, when I think it was the Moroccans, when they won, there was a riot, and then when they lost, there was a riot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it seems that the riot in response to football outcomes is the default setting.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then, there's a football match, just make sure your car isn't parked on the street,
Right.
board up your shop. They're going to riot because football.
Yeah.
So there's no
I thought there was
logic or
political
deep-
reason for this.
no. This was this keeps on happening in response to football matches.
Oh.
And so the rate of French cars burning as a result of just small localized riots, sometimes it's an arrest, sometimes it's a police incident, sometimes it's political. Very often it's just because, well, it's hot outside, so what else are you going to do? Or there's been a football game, and what else are you supposed to do? So it's sort of a
Almost
default
anything
setting.
else, actually.
Yeah. In the last big
Okay.
riots in 2023, I think the total cost was around €1 billion that were sort of destroyed in the span of a few days. So it's not an insignificant issue.
Right.
It's
I
becoming
had no
something with a real economic impact for France, and it's pretty much continuous.
Well, I mean, good thing that
You've got to say, I remember in the Euros, I think when I think France was sharing the Euros with Holland or Belgium.
Right.
And I was actually in the middle of Paris, and they put a nice little big screen on like everyone else there, and we sat watching it, and the police are around the edges at the back, and then there was a mini kind of riot went on as loads of the local communities, shall we say, the people
Quote, unquote,
who
yes.
had
well, they are
imported-
proximal, aren't they? I mean,
imported themselves into Paris, decided they wanted to rob and kick and beat anyone who tried to stop themselves being robbed whilst watching a football match. And the police, literally as they do with the boards on the channel, sit there, light up a gitane, watch and do absolutely nothing. Because, you know, after all, isn't it nice to be a police officer, watch in full gear, all with all your kit protected there, and just allow crime to happen in front of you, because maybe I've not really finished my coffee. Yeah. Or
I mean, what's their incentive to stop crime? Eh?
So the police are damned if they do, damned if they don't. There was a riot, I think that was the 2023 one, because they stopped a guy running them over by shooting him.
Yeah.
So he was trying to kill them.
Yeah.
They shot him. The result was a riot.
Yeah.
And you don't want to end up being the police officer who does something to stop an incident, as justified as that might be, that then leads to something much bigger kicking off, because there's no political will to actually deal with the problem of rioting.
Yeah.
It's the same pattern that you see all over the West. The politicians, you're going to talk about attorney generals, the leadership of the police, they just want things to keep away from full-scale ethnic riots because they're terrified of that, but they're also not willing to do anything to address the risk.
No, they're definitely not willing to address the risk. And I was kind of thinking to myself, I'm a massive Star Wars fan, and I'm kind of watching the second series. Is it Caspian Argon on?
No idea.
I'm not a Star Wars fan.
And in there, you obviously, anyone knows it's the Empire versus the good guy, the rebellions. But there is in this particular series, there's a brilliant scenes where you've actually got the Securitate, the security, and they just don't care. And he basically says, "There's a riot, string them up, kill them." They might throw things at us, string another up, that'll stop them.
Yep.
Now, I'm never an advocate that we go out guns blazing, killing everyone, but when you have this sort of level of riots regularly happening in Paris, when you've got police officers being run over, as you've talked about, and they're shooting at them,
It does make me a lot more pro-Empire.
it does make you laugh. You know, Darth Vader should be down there, and
Darth Vader would not tolerate this nonsense.
he wouldn't.
Bring back Darth Vader.
Yeah, I mean, but this I find particularly savage.
Yep.
And there are some police that come around, and I just want people. I know there might be sound on this, and it's quite upsetting. But this is two defenseless young girls. Look at their ethnicity in the car compared to the ethnicity of around them, and then ask yourself why you wouldn't want Darth Vader and all of them coming and just beating the hell out of these people around them.
What did the protesters or rioters think they're doing?
Look, they smashed the window.
What do they think they're doing?
Right. And that I find utterly two girls in a car surrounded by a mob of clearly Moroccan or Algerian Muslims, and they're smashing the car on two Parisian girls. Or maybe they're not, but they're certainly not of their ethnicity. And no one's doing anything. Not only that, they're filming it as it goes
this
through.
Is funny, yeah.
They might find it funny. It's disgraceful. It's just absolute anarchy.
First, they find this violence amusing.
Yes.
And we just have to accept that there are some people who do find this kind of violence amusing. The second point, I think, is slightly more important. The more tolerance is given to this, the more severe their reaction must be in order to stop it. As in, when this is
justified
normal...
Darth Vader becomes.
Yeah.
When this is normal, okay, we were just doing the normal thing that was within the rules as far as we understood them. Now you're telling us to stop.
Or the time before.
Exactly. So that means that the level of severity that you need to exercise to prevent it keeps rising the more you tolerate it. So tolerance is the destructive policy here.
Or maybe it's the planned policy, because it helps them incorporate the rules and regulations that restrict our freedoms even more. When we're on ID cards, where we want to be able to have barcodes on us to be able to check, which is exactly like the extreme of all dystopian movies, is the way that they control us.
So there was a thing about this the other day where two, I think, Pakistani lads had stabbed an Indian lad with a katana or a Japanese sword of some sort, and now I'm not allowed to buy a decorative Japanese sword. And it's like, sorry, what the hell's this got to do with me? Why the hell? But obviously the government's like, right, we've just got to ban samurai swords.
It's the same in all American cities that have the strictest gun laws.
Yeah.
They also happen to have the highest level of crime.
But they only end up persecuting the law-abiding citizens who are not involved in the crime in the first place.
Because they're the easy target and they can spin a narrative around.
And they're the only people who are going to actually respond lawfully to the thing anyway.
Yes.
Like you say, you would have to have quite extreme measures to crack down on these people, and they're just too weak and too soft to do it.
Well, you can see why people start to be aggressive towards them, angry towards them, why the mobs now want to divide themselves on cultural lines and saying, if this is what they're going to do to two women, where there's a mob of them, then we need to protect ourselves and form our own mob to be able to take them out, because the police aren't going to do it, and the police are just sitting back, and the politicians are sitting there, in nice, comfortable, lovely areas outside of Paris, might come in for their great place to stay just for a vote.
Just a quick thing, if we can go back to that previous one a second.
Yeah.
Those two women, you said pay attention to the ethnicity. They didn't look ethnically French to me.
No.
Ah, okay.
And so,
I thought the first one nearest to us looked a bit like a French girl. Maybe.
To understand the mindset, Carl.
I don't know. They don't.
Okay.
They don't.
Maybe you're right there.
This one absolutely doesn't. To understand the mindset, they are uncovered. And therefore, they're legitimate targets.
It's not about the ethnicity; it's about the culture.
Exactly, they are culturally westernized. That makes them legitimate targets, regardless of whether or not they're of the same ethnicity.
Yes,
in the sense that these are guys who would sort of murder their sisters over this, that, and the other issue. So there's that element to keep in mind.
Yeah, it just kind of gets the whole night carries on, and it's still going today. Really? But and I've just picked out a few about like the abuse of the girls. This was a bit of like. Bombing and more fireworks, but actually petrol bombs coming out on there. Again, there you go. You just see it. A couple of petrol bombs being thrown at whoever there. Set fire to
parking.
Set fire to cars, and you kind of look at that and you see this one the whole as. But I want to look at the numbers, right? 2 dead, 1 cop in a coma, 192 injured. 559 people are arrested all over a football match. And as you say, the looting's gone into millions. They're looting all the shops all over the place. I mean, I just look at this as the streets. I've got 2 more that I'm going to pick up on this. It's just a casual bit of mass violence going on. This side of that's clearly fireworks on this occasion rather than that.
Look, this is going to only end when the police start using live bullets.
Yes.
If they keep on tolerating this, this only ends with live fire. And then you end up with insurgency, because the art of groups like Islamic State is to blend criminality, rioting, and jihad. And then you end up with with much more violence when you try to stop it, because you've tolerated it for so long.
Yeah. And I just said, as the death toll rises, we put them in there. And there was one there that showed the day after, but maybe I'll put a mixed one up. I won't throw this one again in, but again, this is sort of thing from Knights Templar organisation, very good at monitoring this across. They say it's an uprising of African youths in the heart of Europe. I suppose they're right when they talk about mainly Algerians are the biggest amount of kind of immigrants in Paris now.
Remember, a decent chunk of the Algerians came to France because their parents were collaborators with the French during the Algerian War of Independence. So these guys were taken as refugees by the French.
Yeah.
As sort of, they fought on our side, so we owe them something. But then just some things don't work.
Yeah, because now you've got a whole load of people who were there who weren't the ones collaborating, who've come over, and you've got this conflict between the two. And you do hear of like Algerian communities saying, why are you bringing so many in?
Yeah.
And it's the same sort of thing. But whilst we're looking at this, I don't know about you, but I think this is relatively significant. The number of dead, and the arrested, the 400 cars. If anyone goes onto X now and looks at France 24, doesn't mention it at all.
So this is the French version of the BBC.
Yeah,
right?
This is the official French channel.
Doesn't mention it at all. There you are. A little bit of football. Well done, guys. You've done all right. It's a drone attack on Russia. You've got a bit of an opinion about the uncivilized variants. That came up now, but that wasn't up when I went looking at it. The other great one over there is Le Monde. Same sort of thing. They make
They're New York Times, right?
Yeah,
This
Le
is
Monde.
the newspaper of record.
It's all about Elon Musk, and it's Elon Musk.
India.
Someone else.
Schultz. Yeah.
Emmanuel Macron proposes fiscal Pascal, a bit of sport. Yeah, no violence
Nothing
going on in Paris.
significant
Nothing in
happened.
Paris on their main headline. And then I think I kind of look at America.
They
Jubilant
actually-
soccer fans. Chaos.
I mean, they look pretty bloody jubilant. I
There
don't
we
know
are.
what you're complaining
We've burnt
about.
another police car. We've killed another officer. Yeah. I mean, is that the level of jubilance the New York Times talks about?
2 people dead, and the New York Times is like, jubilant soccer fan.
One person died in a traffic incident. Another was stabbed to death.
Just
you know.
Welsh choir boys.
Random fans.
Yeah.
So the main
Unspecified
Yeah.
fans.
So
Yeah.
the French
Yeah.
mainstream media are hiding it. The New York Times kind of reports up on it, but just it's a little bit of shenanigans
They
going on.
misrepresent it, obviously.
Yeah. And so you kind of like to yourself, and of course, I always get this every now and again. This is from the half-decent football magazine when Saturday comes. The problem of Paris Saint-Germain is notoriously far-right supporters.
Oh.
I saw a lot of far-right supporters there. This is them talking about the same sort of thing. Far-right supporters. Now, they're talking about other cases, but, this is another game when they said...
Historically, it kind of was, I suppose, what you would characterize as far-right football hooligans that were the problem with football, right? I mean, British football supporters, English ones in particular, are quite famous on the continent for being rowdy.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how that stereotype is falling away now.
Oh, absolutely.
The times have changed, and look how things have
Yep.
evolved. Are you
Yeah,
happy with it? Because I mean, people didn't actually used to die during English football hooligans.
Not very often. The odd one here and there. And the interesting thing about when you get the Chelsea headhunters would kind of link in with Millwall or with the northern teams of Nottingham and Manchester City. When I went abroad, they all became mates.
Yeah.
Or supporting behind the England flag.
Yeah.
On terms of that, I somehow can't imagine that all happening in Paris and
Well, no,
Saint-Germain.
the exact same thing has happened. I mean, Moroccans are with Algerians, or with Tunisians, or with Egyptians. They're all mates against the French now. That's how it works.
And you ask yourself, why is this happening? And then I just picked this one up as just a general kind of look at the numbers of how the Muslim areas started to come into Paris's arrondissements, the departments in the region of French. Paris is just one French department. It's got several areas in here. But this is a 1999 census.
1.6
Million immigrants living in the Ile-de-France region of it, which is one of the biggest regions of that. Maghreb, Sub-Saharan Africa, Turkey, 50% in 1999 the immigrant population lived there. That's why you can see in those pictures the vast majority of them supporting Paris Saint-Germain are from those suburban areas, which used to be called ghettos, but they spent an awful lot of money trying to update them, give them a lot of opportunities. And it just doesn't work. If they're willing to have your houses done up, areas cleaned, nice places to live, and they're still willing to come out and spend billions in rioting because you've not done enough for us, or we hate the state enough to have the riots, then it's clearly not working.
It's not really
policy's not working.
It's not really about doing enough, is it? It's really about them asserting their separate ethnic identity, or religious identity, probably, against the French state, against the French society.
Yeah.
This isn't about having done enough. There's nothing they want from you. They just want violence.
There's a will to power there that's exercised in enormous violence that isn't in any way appreciated or respected by the leadership classes, because they are of the firm belief that human beings are simply cogs, and they are completely interchangeable. So they have zero respect for their own culture, which actually, weirdly enough, translates into zero respect for Muslim culture. And they think that you can just impose laïcité on everybody, and tomorrow morning they're going to be just as French as Joan of Arc. And so it's this delusion that they have about human nature,
They would have
about
actually
culture.
burnt Joan of Arc on the stake before the English got a chance to.
I'm surprised you didn't get the picture of them sort of sitting on her statue and
Yeah.
well, it was
being
one
a
of
bunch
many.
of-
I just had to. There was so much out there. There's so much destruction, so much abuse of the culture and history of Paris, and actually of the French culture itself. That these people are just coming and they're clearly saying it's not us.
Because
it's not us. It's just a landmass.
conquering group's first target is to destroy the symbols of the conquered.
Yeah.
This is why you see the epidemic of church fires up and down France. They're burning churches 1 or 2 a week. And it's all clearly arson, and the police are doing absolutely nothing about it.
Even Notre Dame, and that was just, who knows? Just a
Who
random
knows
fire.
what happened in Notre Dame? And then they tried to sort of make it. They tried to desecrate the rebuilding of Notre Dame and make it absolutely horrific. And you saw the level of ignorance of the press, because anyway, that's a different story.
I mean, I think what we're seeing there in Paris is, my view, is this is what's coming to Europe, the rest of Europe. I mean, we're already seeing it in different parts, where the communities are no longer mixing, where they will use the excuse of a football match to have a riot against the state.
Well, this is what happened in Leicester with the Pakistani and Indian communities over a cricket match.
Yep.
Apparently it's about a cricket match, but it's not really about a cricket match.
No.
Everyone knows it's not about a bloody cricket
No,
match.
it's about something much deeper, much more insidious. And we're seeing that out there, that they're going to now have this big argument will happen. On the left, they'll say it's because they're all poor, it's because they live in poor housing, they've got no opportunities. This
Our
is the only
grandparents
way-
were poor and they didn't do anything like this,
yeah,
did they?
I didn't see my grandfather
Exactly.
and grandmother going out and rioting down Burnage and setting fire to the shops and the 1 or 2 cars that were out there, smashing them up because we couldn't get a pint of milk that day. No, we didn't. This is just an excuse by the left to use it, because that's part of their social construct. For them, rioting is a very communistic act.
Because the minute that they respect culture, all of their worldview falls apart. And then they have to accept that what created Europe is Christian culture. And the minute they admit that, they have to review everything that they've done.
Yeah.
So it is safer for them mentally to not face reality
Couldn't
and
agree
to
more.
keep on insisting that the only causes for this are just socioeconomic.
It's also worth remembering that the entire purpose of the left is to destroy everything that is particular about our culture.
Yes.
Right? These people are a weapon that they're using against us in order to destroy those things that we held dear. This isn't accidental. They're completely clear about it.
Yeah.
Private property, that has to go. Traditions, customs, they have to go. Things that make us different from other people, that has to go.
Yeah.
This isn't a secret.
No, it isn't.
And I think I'm just going to end that and say that, whilst nothing's happening, there was like the usual thing about the Palestinian flags here. I won't go into this one because the other aspect about attacking the state is this chap in a Palestinian flag was attacking somebody from the firefighters trying to put out the flames.
Oh, yeah.
And also trying to help somebody who'd actually been knocked on the street. And you could see him swearing at him and screaming at him in whatever language it was, but it certainly wasn't French. And in the end, the firefighters had to back away and allow that to go on. And we have now something much deeper, I think, happening, where you could see terrorist attacks regularly in Germany. You can see these kind of riots that are occurring in France on a regular basis. You see the riots that occur in Belgium, and particularly in Brussels, that are on a particular basis. Holland, where you get this discrimination in particular areas where people aren't allowed to go into, but the police just back off from it. The
Same
rapes
as
that are
Sweden.
occurring in Sweden, and of course we know what's happening across our country too. So the whole of Europe, and yet we're the ones, when we point this out, when we give the intellectual arguments, where we discuss the kind of the facts about it, the evidence and the way that the police are backing down, all of that is that we're the racists, we're the xenophobes, rather than and by showing this, we're actually encouraging it.
Yeah.
Actually, we're reflecting the negativity and the bad attitudes of those who are perpetuating this, which are those in power.
We've been complaining about what appears to be the intentional degradation of our educational system for years now. If you went through the state school system in the UK, as I did, you will know exactly what I mean. Just listen to the man in the street interviews from the 1960s compared to those done now, and it is crystal clear that those people then have something that we don't have now. Put simply, we're being dumbed down by the powers that be on purpose, but we don't have to accept this perpetual lowering of standards. We are still a free people, and it's time to do something about it. This is why we have created courses.lotuseaters.com, a platform on which we are now offering courses which are tailor-made to reconstruct the education that has been denied to us. The first course we have available is Dr. Nima Parvini's excellent Trivium, a tripartite course consisting of logic, grammar, and rhetoric, which is the foundation and backbone of a classical education. This course will make you a better writer, speaker, and thinker, and it used to be that every 12-year-old in the country would take it. Personally, I will be doing this course with my own children to ensure they get the benefits of it for their whole lives, but it's never too late to do it, and I really think you should. We will also be producing many other courses in the future on subjects which are not topics of idle interest, but which instead will level you up as a person and make you more effective in the real world. I want to be clear, these are not YouTube videos. They are university-level lectures and coursework with a test at the end to which you will have to apply yourself. In these, we are not offering you an easy life. We are offering you the foundations of what you will need to be a part of the ascent of our civilization out of the hole that was dug for us. They are not easy, but they are rewarding. They are an investment in yourself that will provide you with skills that you will use for the rest of your life. Courses.lotuseaters.com. We will see you there.